My husband signed the divorce papers with a mocking smile, sure he was about to take everything from me. What he didn't know was that my dead father had left behind a secret time bomb, hidden in his will, and the judge was about to light the fuse. The courtroom was silent except for the crackle of shuffling paper. Across from me, Marcus adjusted his expensive suit, the picture of smug confidence. He thought he knew everything, about me, my family, and what I was truly worth. But as the judge finally opened that sealed envelope, I watched his world begin to crumble like a house of cards. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how the man I loved tried to destroy me, only to discover the one person he'd underestimated. Most, my father. 3 years ago, I was a different person. I was married to Marcus Chen, a successful investment banker whom everyone considered the perfect husband. He was charming, educated, and from a wealthy family. When we met at a charity gala, I was a high school English teacher, barely making ends meet after my father's passing the year before. Marcus swept me off my feet with grand gestures and expensive dinners. He made me feel like I was living in a fairy tale, and within 6 months he proposed with a ring that cost more than my annual salary. I said yes, believing I had found my prince. But fairy tales, as I learned, rarely end happily ever after. The magic began to fade with small, sharp remarks. Marcus would call my job cute and laugh when I spoke about my students' achievements, as if their successes were trivial compared to his multi-million-dollar deals. When I mentioned wanting to become a school principal, he'd pat my head and say, "Why stress yourself out, sweetheart? I can take care of us both." I mistook his control for protection. After we married, his condescension grew. At dinner parties, with his colleagues, he'd introduce me by saying, "Oh, Sarah's just a teacher. She keeps busy with that while I handle the real work." The way he spat out the words "just a teacher" made my heart sink every time. I felt myself shrinking in my own home. If I tried to join a conversation about business or current events, Marcus would cut me off with, "Honey, let the adults talk." His friends would chuckle, and I'd retreat to the kitchen, swallowing my pride along with my words. Worse still was his contempt for my father's memory. Dad was a quiet man who worked as a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing plant. He wasn't wealthy, but he was kind, hard-working, and loved me unconditionally. Marcus never missed a chance to remind me of my humble origins. "It's okay that your father was blue-collar," he'd say with a patronizing air. "Not everyone can be successful like my family." When I'd get emotional about missing Dad, Marcus would sigh. "Sarah, you need to move on. Dwelling on the past won't change your background. But my father taught me something Marcus could never grasp. A person's worth isn't measured by their bank account, but by their character." 2 years into our marriage, Marcus's true colors bled through. He started coming home late, his phone constantly buzzing with messages he'd take in another room. The romantic gestures stopped, replaced by microwave meals eaten in silence. The man who once couldn't keep his hands off me now barely looked at me. I made excuses, telling myself he was just stressed from work. I poured myself into my teaching, where I felt valued. My students didn't care that I came from a poor family. They cared that I believed in them. I spent hours helping one, student Maria, who was struggling at home. When she got a full scholarship to her dream college, she hugged me and cried, "Miss Sarah, you changed my life." Moments like that were my lifeline, reminding me who I was beneath Marcus's dismissals. The breaking point arrived on a cold Tuesday, in March. I came home from a parent-teacher conference, excited to tell Marcus about a breakthrough with a student. I found him in his study, laughing on the phone. As I got closer, I heard him say, "Trust me, David. She has no idea. She's so naive, it's almost cute. She thinks I married her for love." His laughter was a cold, sharp thing that froze the blood in my veins. "Of course I have a prenup," he continued. "You think I'm stupid? When we divorce, she'll get nothing." Meanwhile, I get everything, including that property her father left her. She signed it over as collateral for the mortgage, but she doesn't understand what that really means. My heart stopped. She's been so easy to control, he bragged. A few expensive gifts and she handed it all over. The best part is she actually thinks I love her. You're right, I should get an award for this performance. 3 years pretending to love someone so boring and ordinary, but it'll all be worth it. I backed away silently, my world crumbling. The late nights, the vague answers, the legal documents he'd casually asked me to sign, it was all a long con. That night, I lay beside him, listening to his steady breathing while my life fell apart. The next morning, he kissed my forehead. "Have a good day at school, sweetheart." His voice was so gentle, so loving, it was monstrous. I called in sick and spent the day poring over our finances. The picture was devastating. He had systematically gained control of everything. The house was in his name, our joint accounts required his approval for large withdrawals, and the documents. I'd signed away my rights to almost everything, including the last piece of my father I had left, a small plot of land. A week later, Marcus came home with flowers. "Sarah, darling," he began, "we need to talk. I think we both know this isn't working anymore. We've grown apart." He played his part perfectly, the heartbroken husband. "I've already spoken to my lawyer," he said, pulling out a folder. "It's all very straightforward. You'll get enough to start fresh. All you have to do is sign." "And my father's land?" I asked, my voice trembling. His expression flickered. "Sarah, we've been through this. It's collateral. When the house sells, that debt has to be settled. But the settlement I'm offering will take care of you." He was lying so smoothly. I told him I needed time to think. That night I read the papers. I would get a pittance. He would get the house, the cars, the investments, and my father's land, which would be sold to cover a marital debt, with all proceeds going to him. I was angry, heartbroken, and terrified. But beneath it all, a spark of defiance flickered. He had underestimated me. I wasn't going down without a fight. I found Margaret Willis, a no-nonsense divorce attorney. After hearing my story, she was blunt. "Sarah, he's legally boxed you in. But let's be strategic. Tell me about your father's land. Have you ever had it appraised?" "No," I admitted. "Marcus said it wasn't worth much." "I think we need to get that appraised immediately," she said. "And I want to look into your father's estate. Sometimes there are surprises." I was skeptical. My father was a maintenance supervisor. What surprises could there be? 2 weeks later, Margaret called. "Sarah, you need to sit down. I've been digging into your father's estate. First, that land. It's sitting on a massive natural gas deposit. An energy company has been trying to buy the mineral rights for years. It's been appraised at $12 million dollars. I couldn't breathe. But that's not all," she continued. "Your father set up a trust account for you. It's been dormant because the bank couldn't locate you under your married name. Sarah, he was a much savvier investor than anyone knew. That account is now worth over $2 million. Tears streamed down my face. My father, the quiet, humble man, had been a financial genius in secret. "There's more," Margaret said softly. "The trust is protected. It explicitly states that the assets are to remain separate from any marital property and can only be accessed by you upon divorce or your 30th birthday. He suspected someone might try to take advantage of you. He was protecting you." And now, we were back in the courtroom. Marcus was cocky, flanked by his high-priced lawyers, playing the role of the generous husband to a T. "Your Honor," his lawyer argued, "my client is being more than fair to his less fortunate wife." Judge Hendricks, known for her sharp eye and intolerance for deception, turned to me. "Mrs. Chen, how do you respond?" I stood, my heart pounding, as Margaret took the floor. "Your Honor, we have some new information regarding Mrs. Chen's inheritance." Marcus looked puzzled. Mrs. Chen's father left her two assets, Margaret began, her voice ringing with authority. The first is the land in question, which sits on a significant natural gas deposit. It has been appraised at $12 million. The color drained from Marcus's face. His lawyer dropped his pen. The second asset, Margaret continued, is a trust fund established for his daughter's protection. The trust is legally separate from any marital assets and contains over $2 million. The judge raised an eyebrow. Mr. Chen, were you aware of this? Marcus was speechless, stammering. No, Your Honor, I was not. Furthermore, Margaret announced, pulling out a final document, we have evidence that Mr. Chen deliberately concealed his wife's potential inheritance while fraudulently convincing her to sign over control of these assets. We have a recorded phone call where he details his plan. Judge Hendrix's gaze turned to ice. Mr. Chen, this court is troubled by this evidence of fraud. The prenup is void. Mrs. Chen, you will retain all of your inherited assets. Additionally, I am awarding you half of all marital assets, and Mr. Chen will pay your legal fees. Marcus's jaw hit the floor. He looked like he was going to be sick. He caught up to me in the parking lot, his face a mask of desperation. Sarah, please! This is a huge misunderstanding. I turned to face him, feeling a power I hadn't felt in years. No, Marcus. The only misunderstanding was mine. I thought you loved me. I do, he pleaded, grabbing my arm. I pulled away. You loved the idea of taking everything from me. You loved feeling superior. That's not true. I heard you, Marcus, I said, my voice cold and clear. I heard you talking about the award you deserved for pretending to love someone so boring and ordinary. His face went white. You were wrong about everything, I told him, walking away. You were wrong about my father, you were wrong about me, and you were wrong about what really matters. I paused at my car and looked back at him one last time. Oh, and Marcus? That boring, ordinary teacher you married? She's now worth more than you will ever be. And I'm not talking about the money. As I drove away, I didn't feel anger or even pity. I felt clarity. My father, in his quiet wisdom, had given me more than just money. He'd given me my freedom. The real victory wasn't proving Marcus wrong. It was finally, truly, knowing my own worth. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of Sarah's story and her father's incredible foresight? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also tell me which country you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. We post new videos every day. Your support helps us grow. See you next time. Bye.